The emotional and physical ground beneath a woman's feet begins to shift in her early 30s, and the majority of women are ill-prepared for the border. The term border can be used to refer to any point in time when a woman has passed through. When it comes to physical beauty, this typically begins to affect women in their early to mid-30s. Many young women have been able to consistently attract men's attention for nearly 2 decades. From their early 20s through their 50s and 60s, they can go on dates with men. They have been receiving affection and attention from men of all ages and economic backgrounds. Many women have told me stories of dirty 50-year-old men hitting on them when they were in their mid-20s and having high school boys try to get them to leave when they were 25. The world is her oyster for a woman in her 20s. When they are in their 20s, the majority of women can easily attract male attention from men of any age. However, when they are between the ages of 30 and 35, their looks begin to change, and all of a sudden, teenagers, 20-somethings, and even men of their age start to focus on younger women. A lot of women think men in their age group aren't treating them fairly. Why don't 35-year-old men want to date and marry them? 35-year-old women wonder. Also, the fact of the matter is that a 35-year-old man with a job, money, and a car can attract younger, prettier women in their 20s. The majority of men need at least a year to get to know a woman and another year to get engaged and eventually marry her. Therefore, if a man meets a woman who is 35 years old and goes through this process, she will be 38 years old before they get married. Additionally, her chances of having children will be significantly reduced by then. A woman in her 30s to 50s must begin considering men in their late 30s, 40s, and possibly 50s as potential suitors. Most of these older men are married, have children, and are the only ones still available in the market. If these guys are divorced, they probably already have children, so they might want a second wife. There are a few middle-aged women I know who don't seem to want to believe this. They tell me that it's disgusting that only men over 40 are looking at them. These same women jumped from one short-term relationship to another in their 20s and are now unsure of what has transpired. They never anticipated finding themselves in this predicament. Things weren't meant to be the way they are. Many of them are taken aback by the fact that men choose women rather than men. The natural progression of relationships has been reversed, and it's hard for women to accept that they aren't being pursued as much as they used to be, and that their choice of men has changed from the entire male race to a small group of men who have been physically burned by women, are players, or understand the nature of the desperation of women in their 30s. The situation is even direr for pregnant women. They don't care how they get a child because they want one so badly. They will lie to many men about being on the pill when they are not, and they will sleep around without protection. One man I knew had 3 children in 3 years with 3 different women, all of whom claimed to be on the pill. He is now paying child support for his 2 children. Additionally, he is living with the woman who is the mother of his 3rd child. Regarding my social circle, I used to believe that many women my age would become pregnant when their friends became pregnant. My mid-30s female friends who are in relationships have chosen not to have children at all. Women who hang out in groups of 10 to 15 make the decision not to have children. Because these 35-year-old women are still partying and going out clubbing as they did when they were in their 20s, the 1 or 2 women who did have children are no longer being welcomed into this particular social circle. I find it revolting that women are going to cougar bars looking for 25-year-old men. The majority of these 25-year-old men merely desire sex, and devaluing one's worth in this manner damages many women's self-esteem. However, they don't care. They want to keep the party going a little longer before they reach middle age and are looking for young, attractive men who will pay them attention. Many women reach the second border in their early to mid-40s when they lose their ability to attract men. Even men in their 20s are simply interested in sex. That is typically the point at which they begin to gain weight and enter menopause. Black women and Asian women hit the border a little later. A 38 or 39-year-old Asian woman could go from looking like she's 29 or 30 to looking like she's in her early 40s in a few years, but many of them lose their looks and age quickly. That's just what I've noticed, so I may be wrong on this. I might not be able to see the barrier that appeared 10 years before she turned 40 because I'm a white male. This is just my observation. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I'd love to learn more about this particular phenomenon. When they are teenagers, women typically reach sexual maturity earlier than men do. Because the better our chances of survival are, the sooner they get there. Especially during times in our history when there was a lack of resources. Women have always had the advantage when it comes to reproducing their genes. However, because they grow up earlier, they will also age more quickly. A man's ability to get resources and money is what most women are interested in. And smart men who work hard and save money will only become more attractive to women over time. Women, on the other hand, are dealt all of their poker chips at birth because men are drawn to the reproductive capabilities of women. Let's say that a young man and a young woman were playing poker and they were both in their early 20s. The man has only one of the 90 chips that the woman receives, but by the time they are 35, he has commandeered 85 of those chips, while she has only 6. The aging process can be compared to a poker game in which both players attempt to conceal the true nature of their cards through bluffing and other forms of deception. In addition, just like in poker, your financial resources have a significant impact on your position and choices in real life. A larger percentage of the women I know, when they were young, spent their money. They would travel, buy shoes, go out to dinner a few times a week, and spend a lot of time with their friends instead of saving it. When they reached their mid-30s, they would also spend a lot of money on makeup and cab rides. I've met women who are looking for a man with money to help them out of serious consumer and student debt. Numerous women I know have told they are in search of a sugar daddy who can assist them in paying off their debts. For women, the aging border frequently presents a significant psychological shock to the system. Men age a little more slowly, and once they reach their mid to late 30s, they can date more women in their 20s.